Good morning. This is Trangbo at the California ISO. Thank you for joining us for the release user group on May 1, 2025. The call and webinar will be recorded and made available for a limited time for your convenience. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so we'll start with the release plan summary. We do have some updates here. So we'll start with independent 2025 releases. Highest emergency rating, the final activation did occur on April 24th. So that is complete. Then we have CPM enhancements track 1 that is set for implementation and full activation today between 1 and 2 Pacific. And then for FERC Order 2023 Generator Interconnection Lifecycle, we have Release 2.3 that is on track for mid-May. Hybrid Resources Phase 2C for RIMS is also on track for mid-May. Congestion Revenue Rights System Upgrade is now planned for cutover May 22nd. And then we have our FERC 881 Track 2 implementation that's on track by July of this year. We have FERC Order 2023 Generator Interconnection Lifecycle Release 2.4, our final one that's planned for Q4. And then we still have unwarranted storage BCR that's in the queue for independent 2025 with a schedule to be determined. For fall 2025 release, we just have the subscriber PTO model implementation that's still planned for October. And then what's moved out from fall is the transmission exchange agreement, a full implementation that's now planned for March of 2026. Then in spring 2026, we have the activation for day-ahead market enhancements and extended day-ahead market, and then the EDAM ISO BA participation rules activation, as well as our onboarding of Pacific Core as an EDAM entity, and then onboarding of our WEAM for BHE Montana and Black Hills. And for future releases, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those today. I'll just cover them here. We have the WEAM FAB enhancements, the remaining scope for one enhancement that's still in the queue with a schedule to be determined. Enabling NGR resources to participate in inter-SC trades, so that is cyber rules and documentation updates, and that will likely be included in the implementation of DAME and EDAM. So I'll leave that there, but I wanted to share the latest on that, but we will confirm when that will be available in the non-production environments. But for production, we are planning to align enabling NGRs for physical trades with the EDAM and DAME implementation in production. Our transmission service and market scheduling priorities, track 4 scope is still in the queue with the schedule being worked out around other implementations. And then we have the settlement upgrade project, and I pushed the next update into the middle of this year. So there is still a lot of progress in the settlement upgrade project that's happening, but I wanted to focus on the other initiatives through the middle of this year, and then we'll look to provide another update on settlement upgrade by the middle of this year. All right. I'm going to go into the BRS comments and reviews. So we have had a lot of activity and periods that have opened and closed since our last release user group, and so you'll see those in the first column. So this month we had the EDAM comment period for version 1.4 of the BRS that closed on the 18th, and we did extend that from the 11th to the 18th. And then for FERC 881, we published track 2, version 2 of the BRS, and that comment period was open and closed on April 21st. Subscriber PTO model version 1.1 comment period was open through April 28th, and then DAME version 1.5, which will cover today the revisions, that comment period was open through April 30. All right. Okay, so we'll go into independent releases, starting with the CRR upgrade. All right, So for this, some of you may have joined the customer partnership group that occurred today at 10. So the materials for that will, I should say the recording for that should be available shortly on the CPG page for CRR. Our next CPG is going to be May 15. So that is, we are having those more frequent as we lead up to the final cutover, which is planned for May 22nd. And then I do have some other references here that were also communicated and have been communicated and reviewed in the CRR customer partnership group. So we have the cutover plan there, and then we have the latest BRS 1.7, and then web posting changes information. So those are all available and published on kaiso.com, so you can review those as needed in preparation of the production cutover on May 22nd. Any questions or comments on CRR upgrade? All right, we'll move on to CPM enhancements track 1. All right, so here we have the tariff activities that are listed. So again, just to go back and refresh us, we did file for CPM enhancements track 1 in January of this year. We got a FERC acceptance of our filing on March 25th. And then on April 21st, we did file an informational filing for the activation date effective May 1st. And we have that change and activation scheduled for today between 1 and 2 Pacific time, and that will wrap up this implementation. Any questions or comments on CPM enhancements track 1? All right, so we'll move on to FERC 2023 generator interconnection lifecycle. Again, we have 2 releases that are remaining for this. We have release 3 that's targeted for mid-May, that is set for May 15th at this time, and then release 4 is targeted for Q4. So we'll further define the schedule for release 4 as we get through the release 3 implementation and activities. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? All right, let's go to hybrid resources 2C for RIMS. So on the milestones, so just a reminder that we had training on March 5th. We have a training demonstration in lieu of the market simulation, which is marked NA. The demonstration will take place on May 6th, where the ISO will walk through the changes as part of the hybrid resources 2C RIMS implementation, including the shape files and such, to prepare customers for the production activation plan for May 15. So we hope you'll join the demonstration and give us feedback, because that is a little shift from the norm, but we do hope that it provides a lot of value for this implementation. Any questions or comments on hybrid resources 2C for RIMS? Okay. All right. Moving on to some additional materials and reminders. So we have Excel files for wind and solar on the NRI page, and then some other shapefile information and guidance. And then here for the references, we have the readiness note and the CSV files. And then for key dates, again, market simulation is NA, and then the demonstration session is on May 6th. So we did send a notice about that as well. Okay. All right, so we'll move on to FERC 881 for managing transmission line ratings. So we have had a lot of activity on this. So I did expand this slide to just show the history of the tariff activities. And so we have 2 related orders, filings. So we have ER 22-2362 that was initiated in on July 12th of 2022. And then that takes us to the latest development for that filing, which is that on April 30, yesterday, FERC did grant us an extension of time until December 17, 2026 to implement those requirements. And then for ER 25-1236, that was filed in February for some revisions, tariff revisions, Section 6 and such. That was filed in February, and then FERC did accept our filing as of yesterday for that as well. So those are posted and available on the ISO site, and that will continue to move forward based on those acceptances. So for the BRSs, we have Track 2, version 2.0, that was published on April 4th. And then and that should align with the latest filings and such. And for market simulation, we did start the full market simulation with the availability of the WebLiner API. So those APIs opened up for the first time April 14. And so with that kicks off the full market simulation for WebLiner that will be supported until and through the production WebLiner implementation June 2025. So looking at production, we have Track 1 that's complete, and Track 2, which is planned for implementation in June of 2025, ahead of the July 2025 first compliance date. And then for Track 3, you'll see that we have a phased implementation January through July of 2026. So you'll note that for Track 3, we are planning to implement by July 2026. However, in our filing with FERC, we did ask through December of 2026, just in case of unforeseen delays and such. So I just wanted to clarify the distinction between what our plans are for Track 3 versus what is in the filing. And so we do anticipate Track 3 to be in production by July of 2026, but again, we have that leeway up until 2026 per the filing. Okay. So walking through some of the other slides for 881, these reflect the latest changes, most notably the start of the full market simulation, April 14. And then again, we did file that motion for extension, which was granted yesterday. And so we will officially incorporate that into our schedule and move forward from there. All right, and so there are two timeline slides. This shows the WebLiner scope, which is in full market simulation now with the UI and the API available in map stage, and those are planned to be available in WebLiner UI and API are planned to be available in production by the end of June, ahead of the July 12th FERC implementation compliance date. And then the second timeline is for Track 3. And you'll see in here we call out the transmission registry system changes, which will be made available in map stage for market simulation starting in June. And then that's for the autoloader. And then for August, we'll introduce market simulation for the TRUI for 4 seasons. And then in November of 2025, overlapping with the DAME and EDAM market simulation, we will have the 881 day ahead and real-time market simulation in map stage. Okay, and then you can see on the timelines the different milestones for what is going to be available in production. So again, by July of 2025, customers can send seasonal and AAR ratings. And then by the end of January 2026, you can see that AARs in real-time markets will be available in prod. And then in April of 2026, we have the AARs in day ahead in production. And then the 12/17/2026 date, which is what was granted in the FERC acceptance yesterday, is the date to start using AARs in ETCC, and then just have all of the remaining compliance work completed. Right. So I see Falda has a hand up. Please go ahead. Falda, you may be on mute. I still don't hear you, Falda, so if you do have something, if you could put it in the chat, and then we can come back around to it, okay? All right. So this, again, is the same information, just put into a different view. And again, this aligns with our latest FERC developments. same here. And then we have just some reminders of different ways to engage with the FERC 881 as well as other implementation efforts in the release user group, technical user group, and market simulation calls. And then the one update here for WebLine R is the very last line item. WebLine R API is now available in MapStage, and the URL is there as well as on the dev site. Okay. And here is the WebLine R access matrix. Any other questions or comments from about WebLine, or sorry, FERC 881 or WebLine R? Okay, and I still don't see a comment from Felda, but if you do have anything, please continue to reach out. Okay, so our last item in the queue for 2025 is unwarranted storage BCR. So you'll see we still don't have a defined schedule for this yet. So we're making developments internally as far as building out the schedule. And again, the certainty is on the effective date that will be retroactive back to December 1st. What we are working through is when this will be implemented and starting in production to start prospective calculations as well. Okay. Any questions or comments on unwarranted storage PCR? Okay, Alina, please go ahead.
Good morning. It's been a month. I have raised some questions via the commenting tool for this initiative. This is regarding the PRS review questions. So I'm just giving you a gentle reminder if you could, help me answer those questions. I've also raised a ticket for the same.
Okay, I'll take a look at your comments and this in the commenting tool as well as City Still. Thank you for using the commenting tool. So we will take a look at that and see if we can respond there. And then if there's anything we need to communicate out to other customers, we can either post that comment and or bring it to a future meeting.
Yeah,
okay.
And just
Thanks,
to
Alina.
mention, one of the question pertains to milestone. I'm okay if you don't respond to that particular question, but the other questions, see if you can help to answer them.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Alina, for the reminder. Yep. All right. So with that, we'll move into fall 2025 release. Okay, so now this only consists of subscriber participating transmission ownership model. Again, this is different from the subscriber PTO market scheduling options policy initiative that is currently in place. That will eventually move into implementation, and we'll provide updates for that second initiative and implementation at future RUGs once we get through the policy process. Okay, so for subscriber PTO model, so we still have a very tentative schedule. And again, this is just showing what the template would be for a standard fall release. And so just an update on what I raised at the last RUG, which is that we are planning to split out this implementation, and I do want to confirm this time. So last time, release user group, I did raise it, and this time I am confirming that for the settlements scope, that will be shifted to the second phase of the implementation. So the first phase of this implementation for subscriber PTO model will be for the non-settlement scope. And that will go ahead so that we can, again, just preserve the focus on all of the DAME and EDAM settlements efforts for us internally as well as for our customers. And then we'll implement the upstream changes as part of the fall 2025 release. And then we will have a separate implementation for the settlements components of subscriber PTO model. And so what that will look like is updated slides where you'll see one set for the phase 1 of the implementation and another set for phase 2 settlements. And so the settlements config guides, for example, will be shifted to that phase 2, and then we'll make other associated updates as well.
Okay, I found this on the web for NNet. Check it out.
Sorry about that. All right. Any questions on subscriber PTO model? All right, Kevin, go ahead.
Can you hear me well? I want to confirm.
Just say that one more time.
Oh, can you
Yes,
hear me
I can
well?
hear you.
Okay. This is Kevin from
Yes.
PG&E. I'm just have a quick questions on, I saw that there's updates on version 1.1 of the SPTO's BRS updated around like April, I would say. Um, I'm just, I just finished the review on that, and I just saw that the settlement part is still within that BRS. So, are we expecting another revisions on the BRS, or is it going to be like go by that one for now?
Yeah, that will be it for now. And I think that how you can interpret that is it's all the scope is the same, but you can just plan for the settlement implementation to come later.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, Chen Yu, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Cheng. This is Chen Yu from PG&E. Yes, just follow up on Kevin's question. I believe I saw it somewhere, it says non-settlement, non-reporting in terms of for the phase one. So I think in the BRS, it's pretty much, it's breakout. It's either everything together, then the settlement section. So I believe the rest of the section, we're not sure which part it's going to be focused on this phase, like phase one. Because I think I saw, I can recall where I saw that detail that it's the non-reporting.
Yeah, okay. So that's a good question. Okay, so right now the scope for this is going to be master file, Sierra, cyber, and ITS and market as the phase one. And then phase two will be any settlements and associated reporting. I believe that our CMRI changes as well. That would be for the reporting piece that would come with settlements. All right, but I think just I noted your questions and the need for the ISO to provide clarity, and we will do that. And how that will come about, I will confirm. So one is that I do plan to break that out in the release user group. And then secondly, as far as the BRS goes, I'll see if there's an opportunity and a need to specify there. And then we could potentially add that to the queue.
Sounds good. Thank you. I do have a second question in terms of commenting. I also saw the SPTO has the commenting that it's due. And just giving that the update BRS was just only published, I want to say maybe a week or 2 weeks ago. And I think it's rather very short time for the market participants to finish review. So I just want to voice that. And maybe I will wait for, I also have similar question for the DAM 1.5, but I can wait later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I think in general, if, if customers would like and more time for commenting, I can't guarantee that we will always grant that, but I think that you can submit a request to extend the comment period or reopen that, and then we will evaluate that and see if there's any support we can provide.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Thank
that's
you.
just in general. Okay, thanks. Okay, any other questions on this one? All right. Okay, independent 2026 releases. This is this transmission exchange agreement. We're continuing to work closely with WAPA on changes that they have leading up to and through this period, with the final market simulation in January of 2026, tentatively for a full production activation March 2026. So Martin is continuing from the market simulation side, working with WAPA on any other prerequisite or prior market simulation activities and support. And then our team continues to work on any data changes and such for WAPA. But for the full implementation, that's what's reflected here for the market simulation in January with final activation in March. Any questions or comments on this? Okay. So let's go into spring 2026 release, and after I go through this, I will not go into the future initiatives. So we will stop at the WEIM onboarding, just a heads up. Okay, so for 2026 timeline, so again, this starts on June 1st, which is the start of the PAC integration testing in map stage, and that will also be the connectivity testing period for other non-EDM onboarding entities, where again, we will plan to have all of the interface changes in map stage by 6/1 for that connectivity / integration testing. So just for some of you that are engaged in the market simulation discussions, you will recall that today, May 1st, starts the PAC EDAM onboarding connectivity period. So we are officially kicking that off today, and then we will continue to communicate more details in the market simulation calls as well as directly with our EDAM onboarding entities. Okay, so that's all I wanted to call out here, but there are no changes. And then for training, this was last updated in February, and our training kicks off in June of 2025 with the Train the Trainer sessions. And then for our implementation training, those kick off in August on the 18th, 19th, and 20th ahead of the implementation market simulations for DAME and EDAM. Okay. All right, so then we have also another general update that spans the DAME, EDAM, and EDAM ISO implementations. This is for the settlements tech doc update. So the settlements team did work very hard to get the files posted on April 29, and so you would have received that communication on the 29th for the first DAME and EDAM configuration output files. And you can see the summary here that was pulled from the announcement that the settlements team sent. So we also have the tech documents revised, and then the draft design, build, determinant, standard, and conventions, the draft ISO charge code matrix, and then the revised draft DAME and EDAM charge code change summary and tariff mapping. And then also below is just the next milestones. So we have the second draft config output file planned for publication August 29th ahead of the start of market simulation in September. And then you can see the pre-production and production dates as well. Okay. All right, so let's go into DAME. Okay, so for DAME, we have version 1.5 of the BRS published on April 8th, and Amr will go through those revisions shortly. And then what we have upcoming is going to be the draft BPMs that are planned for publication by July 1st to support the market simulation starting in September. Okay, and then also in August of this year, we'll kick off the implementation working group again. And then we have, again, training in August as well. Okay, market simulation is quickly approaching for September, and then we will also be working on deploying code inactive to production by February 1st with the final activation on May 1st. Okay, so with that, I'll hand it over to Amr to or actually I'll take a question from Chanyu or comment first, and then we'll go over to Amr. Go ahead, Chanyu.
This is Chanyu from PG&E. Yes, just real quick, because I saw that earlier when you, on the commenting tool page, it looks like the commenting, it's due for version 1.5 on the 30th, although I don't see the commenting page is being posted under the DAME. And also, I was kind of looking for it. I did not see it. I did submit a CD ticket. We did finish the review. I submit a CD ticket to submit for those questions. Just want to let you know that under the release page, under the DAME, we do not see the commenting to questions in there.
Okay. I'll take a look at the city with your questions and comments, and then look into the availability of the comment link. So that may not be valid anymore. I see it on the commenting page, but again, the deadline was yesterday. So, but we can take a look at what you submitted and then work with you to make sure that those comments are acknowledged and reviewed. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Okay. And then Amr, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everybody. So, yeah, today I'm going to go through the changes we have made for the day-ahead market enhancement PRS, the version 1.5. So it's a minor version. So we only have one slide here. The first one, again, it's maybe just general cleanup or typo corrections. Second one is regarding the park system that we have. So this was actually a default configurable values that it was set to 90 days. So now we change it to 75 days. And this one for setting the configurable sampling scheme parameters. Yep. Can you please go ahead?
Hi, Emma. Thanks for walking through this. Can you also provide a reason why the sample day has been reduced from 90 days to 75 days?
Yeah, so this was a request from our business needs, but what I recall, it was based on the discussion with the stakeholders that they agreed to change it to 75, but don't know if someone from our short-term forecasting team is here. You wanna respond to that, or we can take it
with
offline.
our stakeholders, and it would be really helpful as when was the discussion. I mean, I can check with our internal stakeholders to see. I think just a question, but it is good to know. But I'll check with our internal policy team. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. I mean, at the request, I have it from our internal short-term forecast, but short-term forecast has a discussion with the stakeholders. So, yeah, if you want to follow up, maybe you can follow up with the short-term forecast also for more information into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the third item was regarding the reliability capacity upward, the bid coverage for the entire economic bid, and this one for all physical supply resources. Before we have it specific for VER and for the PT, but now we're just expanding it for all physical resources. Again, this is per the tariff. And the number 4, so number 4, this one is about publishing the market priority type for all resources and including also the CRN, the contract. And these changes have the impact on the market and the CMRI and the ADS and even the data center. So we had this functionality before for the tagging validation, and it was only for the export and only for the rack and hasp, but now we expand it for all resources and for all markets. So you should see the breakdown by market type functionality, including, of course, the ETC tool and the CRN ID also there. And number 5, this one is just a minor update about the logic for the insertion extension for the proxy RCU for export. Again, this was just to align it with how we do it in our optimization engine, so we just put it there. And the number 6, this one was just for cyber, and I know there was a typo in the BRS, it was RAC, but actually it's a cyber impacted. So this one is just for cyber to consider this proxy RCU bid or proxy RCU award when they receive the data. Again, this is regarding the coverage of the energy bid. So they have to consider that proxy RCU bid also in cyber. And the number 7, so number 7, this was a new report. I think we missed it to publish it before. So before we have that base scenario, so base scenario is going to be now for the energy product. And now we're gonna have the new IRU, IRD deployment scenario. So we're publishing them also for wages for number 7, and also we have also a report in CMRI. So we'll publish this report also in CMRI. And again, the base scenario, the current one is gonna be marked as we're gonna have a product. Now it's gonna be for the existing one is gonna call the energy product. For the new one, of course, is gonna be either IRU or IRD energy. IRU or IRD market product. And the last one is just the update for the market SIM, again, for this added functionality for the market priority type and also for the publishing of the CRR revenue adjustment, again, for this new IRU, IRD deployment scenarios. And on the right, we put what PRQ are impacted, whether it's updated or there is a new PRQ. Yep. Any question?
All right. I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see any comments in the chat. So thank you, Amar, for that. And then Chenyu, thanks for your question. And after you discuss with your team about 5.2 modification line item number 2, then please let us know if you need more support, and including discussions with our short-term forecasting team.
Will do. Thank you. And
Thanks.
why I don't have, can I ask a question, additional question, not regarding the BRS right now? I think
Of course, yeah.
we all know that the DAME and EDAM certainly produce a lot of new reports. And I think it will be very helpful because as we start to put down our test plans, it's very helpful to know the reports, and especially the one in CMRI and OASIS, just because so many of them, under what category those reports will be resigned. So when we put down the steps where to look for the reports during testing, we can easily identify that. I know it's probably, this is a lot asked for CAISO, but it will be great that the information can be shared before the, the structure and unstructured.
Yeah, so Chenyu, thank you for bringing that up. So I already committed to doing that for the UI. So I don't recall if you were there, but in the last technical user group a week ago, or a little bit more than a week ago, I did present, and because I prioritized the APIs for DAME and EDAM's implementation, I did provide a detailed report out about those and at the service level. And then I committed to providing the UI visibility and transparency as well, including, again, which tabs map to the actual report names to make that a little bit more efficient for customers.
That's
so
great.
I plan to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry,
Okay.
I missed that. Yeah, thanks.
No problem. All right, good. Okay, any other questions or comments on DAME? Okay, thanks, Amar. Okay, and so we just have some reminders here for the DAME configurable parameter working group, which is again separate and from the market simulation for DAME. However, we'll leverage the market simulation data for DAME. So this next session will be August 2025, when we'll have a kickoff where, again, that is planned at that time because we will be starting market simulation in September. And so that'll be a good touch point to have leading into the market simulation activity. And then we'll have monthly sessions starting in October. Okay. All right, so these are just more reminder slides of the working group for configurable parameters. And so I won't go over those in detail, just know that we're looking forward to those discussions. All right, for EDAM, the updates here are really just related to those high-level updates that are combined across the implementation. So I covered the training, which is coming up, and then also the settlements artifacts that were just published April 29 and announced. We have BPMs across all 3 of the implementations that are planned for publication by July 1st to support the market simulation. That is also all combined, planned for September for the start of market simulation. So the one thing that's not on here is the updated scenarios for EDAM. Those were published on April 24, and those will also span and include the scenarios for the EDAM, ISO, BAA participation rules implementation. So if you look for the EDAM updated scenarios as of for market simulation as of April 24th. Those do apply for the EDAM implementation as well as the EDAM ISO implementation. Okay. All right, so then we have the production activation that is planned for May 1st, and then you can see the onboarding for PAC May 1st, and then PGE October 1st, and then Bank in LA 2027. Any questions on EDAM? Okay, so for EDAM ISO BA, you'll see that again in February, we did have an approval from FERC for the tariff changes. And then this slide it shows the history, and then the bolded items here I want to call out, which is the BRS 1.5 was published April 28th. And then the settlement config guides, again, those were published. And the first draft config output file was published April 29, along with the other materials that were updated. And then the market sim scenarios and version 1.3 for EDAM also apply to this EDAM ISO BA participation rules implementation. And then the market simulation also aligns as well as the BPM. So these share a lot of the deliverables with EDAM. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, and then the final slide for our updates today is the WEIM, BHE, Montana, and Black Hills implementation with the market simulation is the next milestone that's reported out here, which is in December 2025. So we're continuing our onboarding activities for this, and that will kind of merge in with other activities in map stage December 2025. All right. So I'm not going to go over the future releases, but just taking you to our looking ahead slide. So we have the next release user group on May 13, and we have a lot of other ways for you to engage in the implementation space with us, including the customer partnership groups, and then also the technical user group. The next one is on Tuesday. And then we have multiple flavors of the market simulation calls that are available, and we have some of those today as well. So please stay tuned to the KAISO calendar and engage with us on these discussions. Right? Are there any other final questions or comments for today? All right, Zalda, let's see if we can hear you now. I hope so.
Yes, sorry about that. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
All
Yes, how can I
right.
help?
Thank you. Yes. So my question is on the FERC 881, now that FERC has provided its approval, during market sim with DAME and EDAM, because the timeline might intertwine, are we going to also test the FERC 881 using the new features or the new ability during market sim for DAME and EDAM?
That is a good question, and I think that we still need to work those details out, but I think that was some of the intent, is to have an opportunity to test those all together, active together. But I know Martin is on and listening as well, and so he and I will continue to coordinate with the project teams to kind of define what that will look like and when that will be, so that we can set aside, a specific window for that and expectations. So. But I think at a high level, Felda, I think that is the intent, is to provide that opportunity.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Trang.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you again. We look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.